Hello, I'm here tonight to talk about the case study, Get This Child Out of My Room for Modular 8. I'll start off by doing a brief summary of the case study. The setting of the school, it's a very rural area. It covers about 800 square miles, 16 different schools, one superintendent. Then there's assistant superintendents throughout the school district. People involved. Carl is the third grade student with behavior disabilities who is causing a lot of the problems that kind of developed the case study. Susan Green is a first year special education teacher, very inexperienced, trying to do her best to come up with a great solution for this particular problem and all other problems that pop up through the special education department. Nancy Taylor is the regular education teacher that wants Carl out of her room because of being a problem with different behavior disorders, being aggressive at times with other students, and she wants him out immediately. The situation is Carl's behavior has declined. His parents got divorced within the last 3 months, and they have seen Carl's behavior go downhill from there. Miss Taylor is struggling with Carl in her classroom, with threatening other students, different things, and she obviously wants him out. Parent support is very minimal. We discussed as the parents were called several times in the scenario, and it took almost 2 or 3 days for them to return a phone call to change the IEP. Mom's blaming dad, all kinds of things. So the parental support is probably causing a lot of the issues that Carl is having in the classroom. And I really think that Miss Green, who is the young, inexperienced special education teacher, is really trying to do a good job and using the resources that she has, which is very limited, to come up with a solution that best fits not just Carl, but all the students as well. First category, we want to talk about what we know. Carl does have an IEP for behavior disability. Not only does he have an IEP, they have written another IEP to remove Carl essentially when this disruptive behavior starts happening. So that IEP, he does have an IEP, and it has been modified as well. Carl's regular education teacher has reported this to the special education teacher, and they're trying to change the behavior, obviously, by trying to bring the parents in, have an IEP meeting, come up with some new directions of where they want to go. One thing we also know is Carl does has 2 siblings that have emotional disabilities as well. We know that Miss Green is a first-year special education teacher, lacks experience, and lacks support from the school district as well. And we know that Miss Taylor wants Carl out of her classroom for disruptive and harmful behavior. What we need to know, I think there's lots of questions here that need to be addressed. Why has Carl's behavior changed? Is it just because of the divorce, or is there other issues that have popped up that we need to find out about? Is there a significant change in his siblings' behavior? I think this is something that Miss Green, Miss Taylor, they can do some research with with Carl's siblings to see if they've seen, go down to the hall and see some of the other teachers of his siblings to see if they're seeing some behavior change in those students as well. I think that'd be something that we'd like to find out. Why does Miss Taylor want Carl out? I mean, is it just because he's being disruptive, or is there other things going on? She's obviously very disappointed and upset, and she wants to get him out of there immediately. But what can we do to help calm her down and create an inclusive classroom that Carl's a part of? Has Miss Taylor changed anything in her classroom? So let's take it out of Carl's hands. Maybe in the last 3 months, we're blaming it on divorce or other issues, but maybe Miss Taylor's changed some things, maybe that have had an impact on Carl's behavior. So we need to address those if there is any occurrences there. Have Carl's parents seen a change in his behavior at home? I think primarily Carl's living with his mom, obviously with the divorce. There's probably some things that are changing at home. Any input with the parents would help out, even though we know it's very unstable at this point. And I think this last one is very key. Do other teachers and support staff see change in Carl's behavior? The music teacher, PE teacher, administration in the cafeteria. Are we seeing these behaviors change as well, or is this just happening in Miss Taylor's classroom? Because that would maybe answer some questions, to try to just get input from as many people as possible, to see if everybody else is recognizing these changes. So what's our plan of action? So the category 2 is the plan of action. Let's talk about plan of action for 3 different people, and then maybe talk about the plan for the team. Plan for Carl. We need to find somebody that Carl trusts, and that we'll sit down and talk about his sudden occurrence of escalating misbehavior, and whether that's a counselor, maybe it's a PE teacher, maybe it's a para. We need to find someone that Carl trusts, that will sit down and talk to him about what he's thinking. Why is he being disruptive? Why is he doing these things? We need somebody that he can go to. Maybe it's a peer. Maybe it's one of his siblings. So we have to find somebody that he can trust, that we can talk through some of the things that he is dealing with mentally. Are there outside services and family counseling? Not just for Carl, but maybe for his family as well. After the IEP meeting, seemed to be very dysfunctional. Mom's blaming dad for leaving. Lots of things there that seem to lead that there's some things going on at home that are very disruptive to trying to create a stable environment for their family. And I think for Carl, we need to create positive feedback and interactions to try to help him get through some of these tough times. Susan Green, she has to document Carl's behavior in all settings, as I mentioned in the previous slide, and not just in Miss Taylor's class, but what's he doing in all other classrooms that he's involved with throughout the day. Establish a team. Miss Green is the special education teacher. She needs to establish a team that's going to observe Carl and come up with a great game plan to help him reach his educational goals. Seek education and help from the school district. We talked about there's not a lot of support throughout the small school district. It's spread out, but we need to seek out just through professional development, through different things, and get the school psych involved, get some other people involved throughout the district, and explain to them the problem and get some help, especially for an unexperienced teacher. So plan for Nancy Taylor is understanding the new IEP and allowing her to provide input. I think Nancy seems like a personality that would like to have input. She wants him out of the classroom, but maybe after calming her down, we need to come up with a solution to keep Carl in there, but let her put input in there. Obviously, she wants him out anytime he misbehaves, go to the resource room, things like that. But is there other things that they can do in the IEP to help the situation? She needs to make sure that she documents specific behaviors and anything that triggers that misbehavior that we're talking about. She needs to, along with Miss Green, they need to seek some professional development and seek help throughout the school district as well. I think the key to this whole thing, as we come up with a plan of action, is to come up with this team of obviously Miss Taylor and Miss Green and the parents and administration, all that different. But we need, again, somebody that Carl can trust needs to be on that team. We need to get input from everybody that can help us out here and document and be consistent with that plan. Whatever we decide to do, whatever the IEP states, whatever this team comes up with, we need to be consistent with that plan in all settings, just to create an environment that's very stable for Carl at school. And we need to communicate that back and give feedback for the rest of the team to make sure we understand how we can move forward. We get into category 3. What is the best for the students? And the first thing that I think is our school personnel is working towards a common goal with all our students to make sure that they're being successful. This school community seemed to be very spread out. We need to make sure that everybody's on board, that our vision and our goals are aligned. Make sure to make sure we have student success. It sounds to me like there should be some professional development to help teachers be better teachers and to educate these students in this rural area. Classroom management. What is an inclusive classroom? What can we do in an inclusive classroom to include all students? I think that would be a very informational PD day for them. Mentor programs for new teachers, so to help Miss Green out with just being a new teacher and how to handle different situations. And it seems to me this is probably a very common problem in most schools, and they seem to be having problems. This has escalated maybe a little bit further than it needs to with the behavior disabilities. Maybe they needed to have a workshop just on that. Model appropriate behavior and support between teachers and students. I think that's very important. And develop a program for students to receive positive feedback. I'm big into the positive feedback for this young man. Anytime a third grader's going through a tough time, I think anytime you can create a positive environment, create situations where you can come up with positive feedback for that young man, I think it'll help him feel comfortable in the classroom. Here's some resolutions to the problem. We need to make sure the administration is supporting the teachers. It doesn't seem like the administration within the building, they're there for a very short amount of time, and they're actually teach a full load as well. We need to make sure that there's more support. We need to be very positive towards Carl, and we need to make sure that the team that we create to develop this plan is going to create a situation that's going to be very positive, make sure we handle it all the same. And then we have to figure out who's going to connect with Carl. Must figure out if that's the PE teacher, if it's a pair or whatever else, but we need to get to the root of the problem and come up with ways that to find out what's going on with Carl, why he's misbehaving. We need to find that person that can connect with Carl in a little different way. Make sure Carl's receiving everything that he deserves through his IEP and per law, and make sure that our whole team is on board and there's no discrepancies. Once they leave that IEP room and the team develops a plan, we need to make sure that we all follow through. My thoughts on this whole situation and different feelings that I have as I've kind of debriefing the problem here. I think there's a lot of pressure on Miss Green. I think she has done a great job with trying to handle this situation and have an open line of communication. She seems to be doing a great job with at least trying. And it seems like she wants everybody to be involved. She removed Carl from the classroom. In my opinion, is not a great option. Obviously, if he's being abusive to other students, there's no choice there. But we need to try something different. We need to come up with positive reinforcement. We need to come up with different ways to help Carl be successful and be included in that classroom. And we need to find out why Carl is changing his behavior. Is it just the divorce, or is there more to it? Is he hanging out with maybe some wrong kids that we need to get aligned, some different things? He's only in third grade. There has to be some things, some signs that we can pick up on. And we need to get input from this whole team. I feel like everybody has different opinions. We need to make sure that we come up with a plan together and work as a team. The issues. Are the teachers getting support they need to be successful? These are unresolved issues. Are they getting the support they really need to be successful and help these students out? And who can connect with Carl? We talked about it. Is it counselor, PE teacher, para? Is it Miss Green or Miss Taylor? They need to connect better with them. Teachers need to work together to solve problems, not demand action. Just to walk in like Miss Taylor did to Miss Green's classroom and say, I want him out of my classroom is very demanding. We need to work together and come up with a solution to help all our students out. And how can we help Carl's family through this problem and this divorce? I think we need to make sure